And welcome back to another episode of PC 419. We're here looking at building another PC for one of my friends of mine actually. He was going to the US, he was going to go to Comic-Con and unfortunately got cancelled due to COVID-19. I hope everyone is safe at the moment as well, just speaking about that. But he had some money saved up, had the airfares paid for, literally was going to go there, and then all this sort of happened. He's been meaning to build a PC for a while, but he wanted to go on a holiday first and then build a PC. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19, it gave him the opportunity to build him his PC. So he gave me a set budget of about $2,100 Australian, and we ended up building him a pretty decent rig. But what we'll do, we'll go through some of the specs, what's currently got on here. We've got a bit of a build montage. I did it for a live stream, because I actually built the PC on a live stream. And then I'll give my final thoughts on it, and we've got some performance tests as well here, see how it goes. But I'm really happy what we've spent, what we've done with the PC, and the sort of performance we're actually getting with the price range we've actually selected as well. So what we'll do first, we'll go through all that and hopefully find out, is this worth $2,100? So what can you get for around $2,100 Australian? And let's see what we can look at here. Obviously, there is Intel CPUs and then AMD CPUs. On this occasion here, I have gone AMD. So we'll run through some of the specs and what I've built here for and what sort of case it is as well. So the case itself is a Cooler Master TD500 Crystal, which is an absolutely fantastic case to build in. It was so easy, very simple. You can hide your cables underneath here as well because it has got its own shroud. We've also got here is a 750 watt bronze power supply from Cooler Master. Not bad power supply. The money I pretty much went for really is the GPU itself. So the GPU itself is an RTX 2070 Super from Gigabyte OC. Fantastic card. We've got some Corsair RAM here running at 3200 megahertz. It's got 16 gig here. We've got the Gaming Pro Carbon from MSI, which is a B450 board. And then we've got the 3600 CPU from AMD as well. For the NVMe drive, I've gone for the OS, I've gone for a 500 gig WD Blue. And for I've got an SSD in there as well, which is a 1 terabyte drive. And that is a Samsung 860 as well. And the price on that wasn't too bad. Most of the money I've got in here is basically in the GPU itself. So the GPU itself was probably the actual half the cost of the actual machine. And particularly, I know what sort of games he's playing as well. So the reason why I selected the RTX 2070 Super is because he's the type of person that will not upgrade his PC for at least 2 to 3 years minimum at this stage. He had a previous version to that. He was still running X58. So it's a very old generation board and CPU, but it was still working for him. He does play a lot of MMOs. So for him to actually upgrade to the next generation of hardware, he's the type of person that will play the oldest old generation games, process everything else. So I thought to myself, maybe it'd be a lot better to put some money into the GPU. We can eventually upgrade the CPU later on from a 3600, maybe go to a 3900X when it gets a lot cheaper, and give them that bump up in FPS as well and performance at the same time. But going through what I've gone through here, it's had a lot, and it's done a lot of work with it, and also to the amount of raw horsepower we're getting out of the 3600 currently at the moment and the 2070 Super, I can't complain anything about it really. So what we'll do now, we're going to run through a bit of a montage on the build process for the live stream, and then I'll give my final thoughts on what I think of the PC, and I'll have some video on there for some benchmarking at the same time. So let's roll that. right, so what do you guys think of the build? I'll be doing a lot more of those on the Twitch channel as well, so do stay tuned to that. Do stay tuned to our social media, so when everything gets updated on that. Every Tuesday, I'll be looking at doing my Talking Tech show, and I might be implementing something that's hardware-based. If it's other benchmarking, open reviews, open box reviews, I should say. If it's something that I've actually got here in the studio I want to test out, get you guys input at the same time. That's something I'll be looking at doing in the future, so do stay tuned to that. But let's get back into here. So for gaming, so some of the games I did play were pretty older titles, pretty much older titles really. A lot of MOBA. I did play a lot of MMOs as well. Currently, say on the FPS game, so example CSGO, 200 plus frames a second I was getting, which is easy on this machine. World of Warcraft, 200 to 300, about 120 in Wargrimmer. Also, I do play Horde. About 120 in Wargrimmer, which is about standard, even for a top-end machine that I've currently got myself. You don't get much higher FPS in Wargrimmer itself, but in the open world, 200 to 300 very easily on that, which I was very happy about. We did play Hunt as well. Hunt was getting about 100 to 120 frames a second, which is pretty good. Doom, well, that's another thing as well. We're actually using Vulkan for Doom, and Doom was getting 200 to 300 FPS easily. There was some stages on there, dipped down to about 180, but the actual game itself, no issues at all. I was running at 1440 as well. I tested it both on 1080 and 1440. I didn't see much of an FPS drop running on 1440, which is good because he's bought a new monitor, that's what he's using now. But for a $2,100 build, to go through all this and actually build exactly what we need here has been absolutely fantastic. And for a day and age that you can get a mid to high tier machine for about $2,100, where bulk of your money is in the GPU itself. And that's where I think personally where your money should be if you are gaming, and particularly if you would be doing anything else. So the 3600 CPU works totally fine. I didn't overclock it. I didn't even put the thermal paste that's originally on there. I didn't get more than 60 degrees on that on load. The GPU, that's a whole different story in a good way. The GPU was really good. It didn't, at full load, I got about 68, 70 degrees playing pretty much every game that I had on here. Vulkan, I should say. Doom was pretty good at that stage as well. I had no problems whatsoever playing those sort of games, even Call of Duty Modern Warfare, no higher than 70 degrees, getting about 130, 140 frames per second playing on Warzone. But $2,100, and you can get a machine like this, and this is in Australian dollars, so you have to do your conversions wherever country you're watching it from. And I've got to say that I'm really happy with it. But guys, what do you think of this machine? Let me know in the comments below. Do stay tuned to all our social medias as well. I'd like to thank my friend for actually allowing me to choose all these parts in here, build this machine for him, and obviously do another content video as well at the same time here, because we are obviously in lockdown at the moment, so we really can't do much more than we are now. I've got a lot of products coming in at the same time, which I've got to do reviews for, so do stay tuned to the channel. But guess what, guys? Thank you, and I'll see you in a new one.